All right, everybody, welcome back to the Millennial Sales Podcast. Your host, Tommy Tahoe, a.k.a. your sales rep's favorite sales rep. Pumped for today's episode. It's Friday, March 24th, and I'm recording this, man. And I just got back from a hell of a weekend last week. I'm not going to bury the lead. I spent 3 days in the wilderness with a Navy SEAL training. And I've come back to tell the tale. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what that was all about. I'm going to tell you, why I did it, what it was. And I've got 7 on my notebook, 7 key takeaways that we're going to get into of how it applies to life. And I'll talk about sales as well. But, sometimes things are bigger than just sales. And I think oftentimes sales is a microcosm of life. And so if we live a better life, we're going to sell better. When you're more peaceful, when you're more content, when you're more ambitious, when you're hungry, when you're in alignment with yourself, you're going to sell better, right? So we're not going to talk about email tactics today. We're not going to talk about discovery questions today. This is going to be more of a soul conversation. So let's just get some of the housekeeping out of the way, the stats, and just like what's going on or what this was all about. So every year I do what I call a misogi. Got this concept from Jesse Itzler, but a misogi is an ancient Japanese ritual, and more or less it's something that is going to be so challenging to your body, mind, and spirit that it breaks you down in order to build you back up. And the thought is, I'm a big believer in doing hard shit makes you a better person and doing that consistently. And so, yes, there are things you can do every day and that will benefit you: working out, prospecting, being kind to others, taking care of your mental health, things like that you can do as daily practices. And then there are things that you can do that are larger events and larger moments that are going to really have massive returns. And now you can't, well, I guess you could, but it would be very inconvenient to go find a Navy SEAL and, live with them for the next 5 years and do everything that they did, and then still try to have your day job and sell and have a family and all that stuff. That's not very likely that you're going to be able to pull that off. But doing things like that once a year, or in frequent enough occasions that they're going to make an impact on you, has made a big impact on me. So over the years, I've done misogis. I've got a separate podcast where I'll talk only about the misogi itself and why you should do one. This will be just really focused on this past weekend. But, I started doing them in 2016. I went from never running more than 5 miles to running one of the hardest marathons in the country in Lake Tahoe. I did the Spartan Race World Championships one year. I did a Tony Robbins 4-day event and walked on burning coals one year. Last year, I hiked the vertical equivalent of Mount Everest in 36 hours, which was 29,029 feet. And this year, I went to do this 3-day mountaineering excursion. So here's what it is. The Navy SEAL's name is Chad Wright. I believe that's Chad with 2 Ds. He was a former SEAL. He's an ultra endurance athlete, very successful one. And he's just got a very interesting story. I'll tag. You could I would look up his name in the podcast app in Apple or Spotify, wherever you're listening. He's got a lot of pods that he's been on. Some of the 2 probably most encompassing that I've heard are on the Rich Roll podcast and on Andy Frisella's podcast. And Rich Roll one was where I found him. And he tells his whole story. I'm not going to get into it, but he's faced a lot of adversity in life. And I really like his attitude. And so it's him, his brother, and his friend, their business partner, those 3 guys that run this. It's called the 3 of 7 Project. And they do a lot of these types of missions and boot camps and things like that. And then they take 8 civilians, me and 7 others in this case, through an application. They take you into the wilderness. And I actually can't share a lot of the specific details because they had asked me not to. And I want to be respectful of that. But I'll share the lessons and the takeaways, which I think will serve us well for this conversation. But essentially what they do is they take you into the wilderness for 3 days, and they teach you leadership skills. They teach you survivor skills. They teach you a lot of life lessons, and you're there to work as a team and handle a mission. And that's about as much as of the specifics as I'll get into for everything that goes on. But I will give some takeaways that I have. And I think it's important to call out, why I chose this one out of everything I could have chosen for a Masoji. I think something was drawing me into the wilderness. I feel like, as a quick aside, I have a lot of skills, interpersonal skills, laptop skills, phone skills, things we talk about a lot, but maybe not as many wilderness, not as many working with my hands type of skills. That's not what I was taught growing up. I didn't have those types of jobs. So I wanted to get better at that. And that was just something that I felt like would make me a more well-rounded person and serve me better. There's obviously the mental toughness aspect of it. There's clearly the being out in the wilderness just for a couple days, like just being in the wilderness, not your phone not working for 3 days. Like there's something kind of beautiful to that as well. Something to meeting people that you wouldn't normally meet. These guys were from all over the country, all different jobs. There was not any other salespeople in this group. So it was cool to do that. And then just, I want to learn from people that have done some really interesting stuff and try to, gain the life knowledge that they have. And so it seemed, Chad was someone that was on that list for me. So that is, that's why I did it. That's how it started. And I've got 7 takeaways that I've been journaling on and noodling on that I want to share with you all. Okay. So here are the 7 that I've got that I learned from this past weekend with Chad Wright, Navy SEAL. In no particular order, I suppose. But the first one is patience. So there's 2 words that got thrown around constantly throughout the weekend. And they're actually the first 2 points that I have. And one is the word patience. And the second is to be deliberate. So let's talk about patience for a minute. Let me paint you a picture, because this is me. You have a sales quota. Let's say you have a goal, right? For a lot of you, if you're listening to this, you have a sales quota, you have an income goal, a revenue goal. Perhaps you're also into fitness or relationships or something like that. And you have a goal that you're aspiring for, right? And you're working your ass off for it, and you hit that goal, right? You make it to President's Club, and it feels good until it doesn't. Feels good until it doesn't. Feels good for, I don't know, a couple hours, a day, 2 days. And especially in sales, if we're talking about sales or business goals, you hit quota, you go to President's Club, December 31st, you're there. What happens on January 1st, y'all? You're back at zero. You're back at zero for your quota. You've got another goal to hit, another mountain to climb. And, you worked for 365 days for an hour of satisfaction, right? Or, for the 2-day trip that you get, or for the extra money so that you can buy this thing that then, you use for a day, or you go to a nice dinner, right? And it's like, man, did I just work all year for that one dinner? That's crazy. And I didn't enjoy the process. All I was thinking about was that goal. And, the same thing works out in the wilderness. We had days where, where you're hiking 10, 12, 15 miles all day and all night. And if all you're focused on is the end result, you're just going to miss everything in the meantime, right? If you're only focusing on the day that you're going to hit quota and the goal that you're going to hit, you don't think about what step is right in front of you, and how you can actually maybe enjoy the process, maybe at least be present in the process. And maybe there's even a step in the process that you can accelerate things or do better because you're focused on it rather than just only focus on the end goal. So I'm a big goal setter, and that's really benefited me in my life. But I do have a way of sometimes thinking about the end goal as being it, And I'll give you even another example. I've been wanting to run my own business for as long as I can remember. I've been doing this podcast for 6 years, trying to find an angle to create a business. And I finally did. I left my job at the end of the last year and I'm running my own business. And I kind of saw that as a finish line. I was like, man, once I run my own business, I'm going to be good, man. I don't have to deal with a manager. I don't have to deal with all this BS at HR. I don't have to be on internal calls, and life is going to be good, man. And life is good. It's also really hard. And on January 1st, I just got really what happened is I just got hit with a whole nother set of challenges. Okay, now I got to go find customers. Okay, I got to create a product. Okay, I got to create all these systems. I've got to figure out how to use QuickBooks. I got to start an LLC. There's all these things. So to view that as the end destination is not accurate, because there's always more steps, and the process is never done till we're dead, truthfully. And so even if you're viewing, you want to make a certain amount of money to get to retirement, a worthy goal that many people have, what's going to happen once you get there? There's a lot of people I know that retire at whatever age, and then their life is miserable because they don't have any hobbies and they don't have anything to do and they didn't plan for that. So what I'm not saying is don't set any goals or aspirations or be ambitious or try to get somewhere. What I am saying is to be patient and think about the actual process of what you're doing. Okay. The second thing, mentioned this a minute ago, is to be deliberate. So when you're working, when you're hiking in the backcountry, the trails are, some of them aren't even, you have to read a map, and some of them aren't on a map. Some of them, there aren't signs. It's a little sketchy. There's a lot of uphills and there's a lot of switchbacks and there's roots and rocks and rivers crossing and all this stuff going on. And if you're not deliberate with every step, especially when it gets dark, especially when you get tired, that could result in something as small as a twisted ankle, which is pretty miserable if you're hiking 12 miles, or it could be catastrophic. You're on there's real life consequences to getting hurt on a mountain when it's freezing temperatures and you're at the top of a mountain and you can't walk, or you fall off the mountain. Real shit happens. You're not playing games at that point. It's not like a little corporate retreat where, something is going to happen and someone's going to come save you. There's some real shit that can go on. And so we were all very deliberate with everything that we did. And, because of how present we were able to do that. And, an example in my own life of, I had someone DM me the other day saying, hey, I love your content, this and that. But by the way, you had like 3 typos on your last post. And the reason for that was because I was moving too fast and I was focused on, just getting it done, getting it out the door. And it was lazy and it was sloppy. And I was not being deliberate with my words and my actions in trying to make it the best thing possible. So, how many times have you done the 90% version of a call, of a proposal, of your research, of your cold call script, and not done the extra, and not been deliberate with what you wanted to do? So that's the second thing that I picked up. The third is kind of quick, but impactful. It's about limiting beliefs. At one point, Chad said something that we tell ourselves a lot of things that are untrue. And by the way, I've got 7 here. Really hope you listen to the end, because I actually put the most important one as number 7. So not even intentionally to keep you on this pod or to keep you on this YouTube if you're there. And by the way, if you're on the pod, check me out on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, check out the pod, show some love. But number 7 is probably the most important, and it's the one that's sticking with me the most. So, I guess you could fast forward, but I would hang on. So number 3 is limiting beliefs. I would tell myself a lot of times, like these survivor skills, tying a knot, building a firewood, putting up a tent, hanging a bear trap, all these things. I don't know how to do that. That's just not, I'm not good at that stuff. These are words that I would say out loud and in my own head. And it turns out I wasn't in the right environment. I didn't have the right coaching. I didn't give myself enough patience, and I didn't really give it a full effort. And now I know how to do a lot of these things. And so I despise when people say, I'm not a morning person. I'm not this type of person. I can't, I don't exercise. I can't do this. I can't, I'm not. Oh, take that out of your vocabulary. Now, if you say, I choose not to, I do not do that thing. I don't prioritize that. That's fair. I don't prioritize whatever, watching Netflix. Okay, that's cool. That's fair. I don't prioritize exercising. Okay. I don't spend time prospecting. Okay, that's fair. Wouldn't recommend it, but that's fair. But you can't say I can't prospect. I can't close deals. I can't do anything right. I've tried everything. You have not tried everything. So be deliberate with what you say and those limiting beliefs, because they'll stick with you in your subconscious and tell you can or can't do certain things. Number 4, 4 and 5 kind of go together as well. Taking ownership. So I think this is when people ask me, one of the the things that are going to accelerate your career as a salesperson is taking ownership. Everyone has an opportunity to make a shit ton of excuses right now. Your manager sucks. Your BDR sucks. Your AE sucks. Your product can't sell. The market sucks. The economy's terrible. Your competitors are eating your lunch. It's too hard out here. I don't get enough training. I don't get enough coaching. Anyone can say these things. And I've had moments where I felt like I didn't have a good manager, or I wasn't getting good enough leads from marketing or my BDR, or that my product wasn't as good as the competitor, or the economy was really hard. AKA right now, it's extremely hard to sell and to build pipeline. But none of those things are going to help you. None of those excuses and complaints are going to help you. And you can vent about it and you can address it and say, wow, the economy is really hard right now. It is. That is fair. That is true. So what about it? Nobody cares that the economy is hard. You're not going to get, relief on, your quota, your compensation, or you're not going to gain extra skills just because the economy is hard. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to invest in yourself? Are you going to start reading more books, listening to podcasts, prospecting more, taking courses, getting a coach? Working a little bit harder, trying different things, trying a new cold call script, trying new questions, getting a mentor. Like, what are you going to do about it? What are you doing to take ownership over it? If you're not hitting your numbers, man, I just didn't do a good enough job. That's on me. That's on me. That's on me. Had a killer January, had a shitty February. That's me. That's my business. And I'm rebounding here in March and having a better month. So why? Because I wasn't doing the right things in February that I was doing in January. So I'm learning just as you are. Number 5 is to stay humble. There's a dichotomy between humility and ownership. And you can't let ownership turn into pride. I'll tell you from this weekend, when we first kicked off, there was a guy, freaking built dude, 6'3", 200 something pounds, solid dude. And of the 8 of us, we got asked, has anyone ever done like multi-day backpacking, mountaineering type of thing? And he was the only one that said yes. And so we said, you are our leader. you lead us. You take control here. And you want to know what? Day 2, he was the only person. He was the one that was struggling the most. He had to have someone carry his pack for him. He was puking. He was hurting. He was mentally beat down. I didn't know he was going to make it. But he had the humility, even though he looked like this big bad dude, and he's a bad motherfucker. Don't get me wrong. Even though he's this big bad dude, even though he was the appointed leader from the team, he was humble enough to say, hey man, I need some help. I need some help. And that's where I haven't done enough. I put a post out the other day about Scott Leese. I'll do another pod about him and asking for help and mentorship. But something that I did as a sales rep, when I first started at a company called Tech Target 2015, man, I was such a pest to everyone at the company in the sales org to try to get better. I would be harassing in the kindest way possible. I'd be harassing the top sales reps, the managers, the VPs, the CEO. I would be sitting with the CEO Friday at 6 p.m. in his office. We'd be chatting, and he'd be he was a great, maybe the best salesperson I've ever met. And he'd be telling me stories, and he'd be giving me advice, and I would soak it up like a sponge that I couldn't get enough. I could not get enough information because I didn't know. There's so much I didn't know. And I haven't been doing a good enough job of that as an entrepreneur, and I'm changing that now. But, stay humble, know where you're at, and know when, ask for help, ask for mentorship, ask for coaching. Go to your manager, go to the best rep on the team, go to the person that you like on LinkedIn, go to me, DM me, let's talk. Help people all the time. And, it's our duty and obligation to help kind of pay it forward to other people as we can. And there's a lot of people that will help you if they know that you're going to put in the work and you're humble enough to ask. So don't be lazy about it and say, give me help, and then don't do anything about it. But if you're working hard, you got the right attitude, people want to see others succeed, and it makes you feel good to help other people. So don't be too proud to be humble and ask for help. Okay. Number 6, we're almost done, guys. I promise. So I hope wherever you're at, walking the dog, cooking dinner, eating lunch, prepping for the next sales call, whatever it is, that you find just one of these 7 that you can write down on a sticky note and you can use. And it's going to benefit you this week, because that's why I'm doing this. Number 6, standards greater than feelings. Okay. Standards greater than feelings. Here's what I mean by that. The best way to elevate yourself is to elevate the standard that you hold yourself to. Okay. I love goals. I love mantras. I love the law of attraction and writing stuff down and talking it out. And I believe in that. Okay. But at the end of the day, when everything gets dissolved, when you eventually over time, what boils down is what you get done is tied to the standard that you hold yourself to. Okay. So let's play that out. If I say that I want to be the sales rep of the year, I want to go to President's Club, I want to make 300 grand, I want to do this and that, that's great. That could motivate me. But what is the standard that I hold myself to relative to my feelings? Because in order to do a lot of that, you know what I have to do? I got to prospect like a son of a gun. I got to make a lot of cold calls. I got to send cold emails. I got to do account research. I got to up my sales craft. I got to get better at discovery. I've got to create a memorable experience for my customers. I need to sell bigger deals. I need to sell more deals. I need to accelerate my deal cycles. I need to work faster. I need to work harder. I need to work smarter. I need higher quality and quantity. Okay. There's a lot. So when I'm motivated, sure. I watch a David Goggins video and I'm ready to go for the day. Okay. But what about when you're not? What about when you're feeling, say, man, I'm freaking tired. Man, I'm bummed out that I'm not hitting quota right now. God, I want to do this thing, but this customer is being such a pain in the ass. I don't want to do all this extra work. Wow, my manager just gave me this project I have to do. This isn't my job. What is going on? Those are your feelings taking over your standard. What is the standard that you set for yourself? Hey, every day I'm going to make 50. I'm going to send out, 50 emails. I'm going to make 50 calls. Every day I'm going to spend 60 minutes dedicated to prospecting. Or if you're an SDR, maybe it's 3 hours dedicated to prospecting. Hey, I don't leave my desk until I prep fully for the next day. I send agendas. I send meeting invites. I prep myself on who I'm going to call and who I'm going to prospect. I don't close my laptop for the week until I write down my weekly update for my boss and for myself. And I dictate what went on this week, what's going on next week. These are standards. These are standards that you set for yourself. I want to run a marathon. Cool. What's your standard? How often are you running? Regardless of the rain and the cold and the weather and how tired you are and how hungry you are, how much are you running? You're going to do 20 miles a week. Okay, great. That's your standard. You're setting to that and you're sticking to that. Okay. I don't want to do a lot of the things that I do but I do them because I have a high standard for myself, and I actually am now increasing that standard for myself and for the others around me. Okay, number 7, we made it. We made it to the last one, and this is one that is sticking with me. This and the patience one, I would say, the most. So I'll tell you a little story on number 7. And I would entitle this story "Doing the Right Thing Over the Easy Thing." And again, I'm not going to give a ton of details to the weekend and everything. By the way, they're not like sponsoring this or anything, but I would highly recommend that you check this out if you feel like drawn to this at all, or DM me and I'll tell you more about it as much as I can. But I would recommend you checking this out for yourself. So doing the right thing. So we'd be hiking, and again, long days, not a lot of food. It's cold. It's wet. It's dark. It's this, it's that. The path is not clearly marked sometimes. And so when the path is not clearly marked, sometimes you get to like an open field and you're not exactly sure where to go. And you kind of are going based off of like, where's the ground a little more trodden down? You know what I mean? It's not like there's a clear sign that says, hey, go this way, Tom. So, but if you really look, it's not that hard to figure it out. But in the moment, it's kind of challenging because you're tired and everything like that. So there was multiple moments where the same thing would happen. We'd be going the wrong way, and then Chad would coach, aka scold and yell at us that we fucked up pretty much, and that we need to turn it around. We need to figure it out. So what was the common reason for that? He actually talked about it on his own podcast this week. I was listening to it during my workout this morning. We were looking for the easy way, right? So when we made a mistake, it was always that we chose to go on the flat ground. We chose to go on the easy path, when the real path, which was relatively clear once you looked at it the right way, was a steep uphill to the right. It was a scathing switchback. It was crossing a damn river. When we just wanted to kind of go like straight ahead or take a little left turn into some flat ground. And it made me think of, how often are we choosing the easy path when the right path is right ahead of us? It's right in front of us. We know what to do. It's pretty clearly marked, but it's the hard path. It's the hard path, but it's the right path. It's doing the right thing. And there's a lot of stuff. It's Friday. I always say champions create distance on Friday. There's some stuff that I got to do this Friday to clear my conscience so I can enjoy myself this weekend. And I'm going to make some homemade pizza tonight. But there's some stuff I got to do to get done to feel, mentally like I can do that, and I can take that time. And taking the hard path over the easy path. A lot of times you'll be presented with an opportunity, and it's right to think, hey, is this just the easy way out, or is this the right path for me? So those are the 7 key takeaways. I'll just recap them real quick. Patience, being deliberate, don't tell yourself untrue things, take ownership, be humble, standards greater than feelings, doing the right thing. That's what I got for today's podcast. I'll talk more about Masojis. I'll talk more about my man, Scott Leese. I'll talk more about a bunch of other shit on future episodes. I hope you enjoy this one. I just spouted at you for about 30 minutes. So there's a few ways that you can help support what I'm doing. I'm a solopreneur. I'm getting after. I'm doing my best. Number 1, just subscribe wherever you're listening. Show some love. Pass it on to a friend. I'm on Spotify, Apple, anywhere you listen to pods. I'm on YouTube if you want to see my face. What up, YouTube? LinkedIn, I'm posting every single freaking day. I got a weekly newsletter. I'm running a boot camp with Anthony Natoli, a 6-week prospecting boot camp that we're about to shut the doors on for our 3rd cohort. By the way, we have sold out every other cohort, and we have a few seats left. So jump at that if you're quick on the gun and you've been looking for a sign to improve yourself. This is it. And otherwise, my DMs are extremely open. LinkedIn's probably the best place. So hit me up on LinkedIn and let's chat. So wishing you the best. Get after it. Hope this was helpful. We'll talk to you next week. Peace.